Rookie running backs ran for 737 yards this week, most by any rookie class in any week of September in NFL history. So yes, you were panicking on these rookies just 2 weeks ago. Hell, I had to make a dedicated video about it, where now we can take a step back and we can say, hell, Ashton Jeanty, Amari Hampton, Quinshawn Judkins, Tedero McMillan. These guys are going to win leagues. I want to give you our updated rankings. I want to give you our updated takes with every single one of these players, because we know rookies kind of determine who wins fantasy football year in and year out. And I can prove this to you. And let's go through and let's look at some recent examples of rookie league winners that we've known. Jahmyr Gibbs was a league winner his rookie season. What did he do the first month of the year? Oh, he averaged 9.7 points per game. That jumped to 19.4 points per game weeks 5 through 17. Bucky Irving last season through the first month of the year averaged 8.9 points per game. The rest of the way, he averaged 16. Jonathan Taylor, his rookie season, jumps from 14 through the first month to 17.9. Alvin Kamara, his rookie season, jumps from 13.8 the first month to 21.6. Amon-Ra St. Brown, his first season, jumps from 5.8 to 14.8. Jamar Chase from 17.6 to 19.1. A.J. Brown from 11.1 to 14.4. Brian Thomas from 14.5 to 17.4. And Ladd McConkey last season as well, 11.1 points per game through the first month to 16.3 the following 12 weeks. So as we go through and look at what the rookies are doing right now, I want to remind you, the thing that we've been saying all season long, of course, rookies are going to start a little slow. The veterans will be playing ahead of them. We can look at Rachaad White versus Bucky Irving last year, but talent wins out. Once these guys get adjusted to the NFL, they're familiar with the overall scheme, they're familiar with the playbook, they're going to play more and more and more once they earn that trust, and they're going to win leagues. And Amari Hampton looks like he is doing that right now. Amari Hampton, through the first 2 weeks of the year, had 23 carries and 4 targets for a total of 27 opportunities, which isn't bad at all. What was bad is he was averaging about 5 points per game through the first 2 weeks. But since then, the last 2 weeks, Amari Hampton's looked like the running back 1 overall in fantasy. 2 weeks ago, 26 opportunities. This past week, he had 17. A lot of this coming as a receiver, and he's actually averaged over 25 points per game over the past 2 weeks. And with Hampton, round 1 capital, size, receiving skill set, elite athleticism, good offense, everything that you could ever want from one of these running backs. And I would love to come through, and I would love to now rank Amari Hampton with no Najee Harris in this type of offense all of a sudden as my running back 5 rest of season. And if this offensive line was as healthy as it was 2 months ago, where you had Slater, you had Joe Alt, realistically speaking, as I go through and update my rankings on flockfantasy.com, I would probably have Amari Hampton as an S-tier running back, only behind CMC, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. I'd be telling you to trade Saquon Barkley for Amari Hampton. I have Saquon Barkley in the Flock League. I'd be sending Avery offers to try to get Hampton. Now, I'm not putting him there just yet. The reason for this is you have no Slater, you have no Joe Alt. Now, I can hear you in the comment section saying, oh, Mason, Joe Alt's not out for the season. It's a high ankle sprain. He's only going to miss 4-ish weeks. Well, let's do some simple math here, ladies and gentlemen. We are in week 5 of the NFL season. We have 9 weeks left of the regular season until the fantasy playoffs are here. So if Joe Alt's missing 4 or 5 weeks, then you have the Los Angeles Chargers bye later in the year. You have Joe Alt missing half of the regular season from here on out, if not more. Now, that, of course, that's for fantasy, not real life. So the Chargers offensive line is going to be really, really bad. But Amari Hampton is still an A-tier running back. He still has the upside of an S-tier RB, and realistically has it in the cards to be the running back 3, running back 4, running back 5 rest of season. Now let's move over to Ashton Jeanty. And with Jeanty, he had 33 points in his 4th NFL game ever, which I know you drafted this guy in round 1, so maybe that doesn't sound super impressive. No, 33 points in one of your first 4 NFL games is unbelievable. You had 21 carries. You had 2 targets. Now, The one thing that's holding me back from putting Ashton Jeanty as an S tier running back is the same exact thing with Amari Hampton. Garbage offensive line play. The offensive line for the Raiders at the moment looks like one of the worst units that you have in all of the NFL. And with this as well, you have 4 weeks played and Ashton Jeanty only has 20 total receiving yards. So this is going to keep him from being an S tier running back for me right now. Now, I do currently have him at RB9. I have Amari Hampton at RB10 in our rest of season rankings, and I will be ranking them as running back ones going into the future. And I honestly don't sign off on a lot of people saying, oh, sell high on Ashton Jeanty. He doesn't catch the ball. He's with the bad offense. I get it. I truly do. But he still can be a running back one even in this scenario. Now, Quinshon Judkins looks like a running back that should have, at the very minimum, gone in round 5 of every fantasy football league drafted this offseason. At least the toughest fantasy football leagues on the planet. I know Quinshon Judkins went in round 5 of those. But Judkins at this point has expanded his role 3 weeks straight. He's moved from 27% of the snaps to 55% of the snaps to 58% of the snaps. You actually see Quinshon Judkins as well, despite not being out there for obvious passing down scenarios, for the 2-minute drill, for third downs, actually getting involved as a receiver. Like, he's had 9 targets over the past 3 weeks. He just had 33 receiving yards and 4 receptions this past week for a total of 25 opportunities in a game in which wasn't a good environment for him. You're playing at Detroit. The Detroit Lions were winning this game from start to finish. Like, the Browns never really were in a position where they could establish the run, and Quinshon Judkins was still out there doing this. Now, the holdup that I have with Judkins, very similar to what we have with like Ashton Jeanty. The offense is garbage. So where I have Quinshon Judkins ranked rest of season is as a mid RB2 at RB18. I have him as a B tier running back in the same range as Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Breece, Walker, Javonte, Etienne, Judkins, and Kamara. I think all these running backs are guys that you absolutely have to start. Obviously, if you have Kyron Williams, you are starting him on Thursday night. The question that you need to ask is, are you taking the higher or the lower on Kyron Williams to have 80.5 total yards on Underdog Fantasy? I don't know which side's going to win that, but I do know that you can be an automatic winner. Oh, that's a smooth segue. If you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy, because right now Underdog Fantasy is doing the biggest new user offer that I've ever seen since I've been working with them for 5 years. And that's after you play your first $5 with code FLOCK, you are going to get $100 added to your account. Plus, you're going to be getting a free pick for that Thursday night game. Either Brock Purdy, higher, lower, half a total yard, or Matthew Stafford, higher, lower, half a total yard. And on top of that, you're going to be getting free questions to ask me in the live streams that we're doing every single night until Christmas. I'm going to leave the link in the description and comment section, and Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. Now, Trevion Henderson will be our next running back that we need to discuss. And Hendo was a running back that I thought we were about to skyrocket up our rankings. I thought that the breakout was here in week 4. I was so excited. He was going to be up there with Quinshon Judkins. He was either going to be an A tier or a B tier running back. And no, he's still stuck in C tier. The reason for this is you had a total of 9 opportunities coming out of the week in which Ramondre Stevenson fumbled multiple times. Coming out of the week where Antonio Gibson, of all players, fumbled, and this coaching staff still thinks they need to make sure that Antonio Gibson gets himself a rushing touchdown. What the hell are we doing here? The opportunities are going the opposite direction. Like Hendo, he had 11 opportunities, including 6 receptions in week 1. Again, I would really like to say that we're in a really good spot for the offense, for the talent profile, for the receiving upside. But frankly, it doesn't matter. Like, I have him at RB23. I actually have him ranked behind the player that's on my team, and that's Cam Skattebo, because Scat Attack continues to expand his role. Now, obviously, a lot of this had to do with the injury that you had to Tyrone Tracy, but Cam Skattebo went from 12% of the snaps week 1 to 52% of the snaps week 2 to 59% of the snaps week 3 to 75% of the snaps in week 4. Now, I will say in week 5, he's going to be extremely high in my rankings because he's a great matchup against the New Orleans Saints. And honestly, even though I have Cam Skattebo as either my RB3 or RB4, depending on where you rank ETN in comparison, I have Scat lower than ETN, but it's up to you. I probably will be looking to sell him high after this next week, because I do think that Tracy comes in the long term, and Tracy has a role in this offense. I don't necessarily think he's the lead back. I think that clearly is Cam at this point. But also with that in mind, I don't love Jackson Dart being the quarterback here. I would almost rather have Russell Wilson. Obviously not if you're a Giants fan. I'm not saying that Russell Wilson's good by any stretch of the imagination, but Russell Wilson's not going to go out there and run the ball a ton himself, right? So what you would get with Russ under center in comparison to Dart is you would actually have a higher checkdown rate, and you would get more targets for Cam Skattebo. We even saw that play out over the past 2 weeks, where you had 8 targets in week 3 to only 2 targets this past week. So I love the 25 rush attempts. The efficiency doesn't look great, of course. But I think he's going to absolutely crush at least this next week. I have him ranked as an RB2, and then I'll probably be looking to sell him high after he blows up against the New Orleans Saints. Now, our next player that I want to talk about is going to be RJ Harvey. So RJ Harvey plays a career high 41% of the snaps against the Cincinnati Bengals. I would love to say that, oh, okay, we know that RJ Harvey is now taking over for Jake. No, we don't know that. Like, I have RJ Harvey ranked as a high-end RB3. I have him ranked at RB27. He's averaged 8.93 fantasy points per game so far this season. Obviously not great. The thing is, with him seeing 19 opportunities, a lot of those came in garbage time. The Cincinnati Bengals were never a threat to the Denver Broncos in this game. So realistically, it's reasonable to see Denver just go out there and run the ball over and over and over again, and do a lot of this with RJ Harvey when the game's blown out of proportions. Now, I still think that RJ Harvey has a lot of ceiling to break out in the long term, unlike some of the other players that we're about to talk about. But I don't think you can take him over guys like Jordan Mason, Chase Brown, Trey Benson in your starting lineup anytime soon. Now, moving over to bench players, Caleb Johnson, cut him. I thought, oh, Caleb Johnson, now he's a handcuff running back, where if Jalen Warden goes down, all of a sudden Caleb Johnson's going to go where? Nope. Didn't happen. Caleb Johnson's toast. Nuke him in your redraft rankings. Nuke him in your dynasty rankings. To be getting outplayed by Kenneth Gainwell by an extreme degree, you can't bounce back from that. Byshell Tubin, premium handcuff running back in Jacksonville. Usage not trending in the right direction. He had 5 opportunities this past week, which is down from 7 a week ago, which is down from 10 opportunities back against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 2. Woody Marks looks like he's actually much more exciting than what we have with some of these other players. Woody Marks is a D-tier running back for me at this point, right in the same range as RJ Harvey, David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Tony Pollard, Dobbins. Woody Marks could be higher than this for me if it wasn't for the fact that the Houston Texans offensive line looks horrendous. He had 22 opportunities this past week against the Tennessee Titans, and a game environment in which you would assume that it would be better for Nick Chubb, since Houston was leading from start to finish. So for Woody Marks to dominate like this in this type of game environment, I think he is the starting running back for the Houston Texans going into the future, and he will be a borderline flex play. I know he looks like this year's Bucky Irving. There are a lot of parallels there, but I don't think the offensive line's good enough, and I don't think the offense is good enough. Also, I don't know if he's as good as Bucky, to be honest. Now, moving over to what we have with the wide receivers. Travis Hunter's not getting any better. Technically, yes, he has a career high 42 receiving yards. Let's give him the slow clap. Bravo. Incredible. Number 2 pick in the NFL draft, and you have 42 receiving yards as a career high a month into your NFL career. You're not playing anything on the defensive side of the ball in the second half this past week. Like, where the hell do we go with Travis Hunter at this point? I don't think you can cut him. Number 2 overall trade capital, and it goes even further than that. The freaking Jacksonville Jaguars, these clowns, decided to trade the 5th overall pick and a future first for Hunter to use him this way. Are we super excited? No, but he's on your bench as a stash right now. Ted McMillan, obviously, is a starter every single week. The offense is garbage. Bryce Young's straight up garbage. but you still have him seeing on average about 9 targets a game a month into the season. So if I'm looking at my rankings, I have Tet personally at about wide receiver 12 as a C tier wide receiver, in the same tier as Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Devontae Adams, Rashee Rice. And then our next player with Egbuka. Egbuka continues to expand his role where he goes from 6 targets to 7 targets to 8 targets to 10 targets. Surprise, surprise, Mike Evans gets injured. Egbuka is going to get used a lot more, right? That should be the expectation. And Egbuka is wide receiver 15 in my rest of season rankings. If you had a chance to see the week 5 rankings that came out earlier today, you'll see that he's much, much higher than that in the short term. But obviously, I am operating under the assumption that Mike Evans will be coming back in the long term. Matthew Golden, bench stash. I know it sucks having to hold him through the bye week, but I would feel shaky telling you to cut the wide receiver with round 1 capital. That's in an offense with not much competition. L.A.K.O. Manor looks like he has made it to being the wide receiver 1 on his own team, but realistically, it's the Tennessee Titans, so who cares? Now, going over and looking at what we have at tight ends, we have Tyler Warren looking like a locked and loaded top 3 tight end in fantasy going into the future. You have 18 points this past week, career high. The only tight ends I could reasonably rank over Warren would be Bowers, McBride. Loveland, if you're in a shallow format, you can go ahead and you can drop him. Like, difficulty that you have with Loveland, Rice, you have to hold him through the bye week. We don't know the extent of this injury. Deeper leagues, I would hold on, though. And then Jackson Dart, I would love to say, like, oh, we have a viable rookie quarterback, because obviously Cam Ward's not. But with the Malik Neighbors injury, even if Jackson Dart has the rushing upside, I have no interest. But let me know if you all want us to continue to give the updates with the rookies as time goes on, because, again, I do think that you could get a true, literal league winner from this. I know a lot of people say league winner over and over and over again. Frankly, there are only a small number of league winners every season, but I think one of them is going to be from this video. Now, obviously, if you wanted to go through and check out any of those pick'ems on Underdog Fantasy, like Kyron Williams, higher, lower, 88.5 total yards, you can find that link in the description, comment section. Take advantage of the #1 offer that I have ever seen on Underdog Fantasy, and they've been the only sponsor of this channel for 5 years at this point. And that's going to be after you play your first $5, you're going to get $100 added to your account. And on top of that, you'll get that free pick for the Thursday night game. And on top of that, you're going to be getting free questions that you can ask me in the live streams. And we're going to be live streaming every single night until Christmas. But I really appreciate you. And I really hope I get to see you out with the live stream later tonight.